All right, so today we're doing the structured feeding exercise with two dogs. We have both guardians doing a man-to-man defense, if you will, where they both picked a dog to work with in keeping them from behind this invisible boundary, which is the transition from the carpet to the tile. So what we want to do here, we already started this a little bit off camera. And what we did is we started off with the guardians eating a crunchy piece of food. You want to have at least 2 to 3 bites of food that's crunchy. Remember that yogurt or something soft won't work. The dogs have to hear you eating something ahead of time that has a crunch to it. And then you want to have them stay behind this invisible boundary until you get their food ready and you put that down. They'll have permission to eat one at a time. Usually we start with the older dog being able to eat first, and in this case we're going to stick with that rule. We're using the escalating consequences to disagree with them if they were to start to cross the boundary. And as they start to stay behind the boundary respectfully like this, we're going to be taking 1 step back at a time. As you practice this more and more, you can take more steps at a time. Ways that you're going to want to transition out of this, taking 1 step at a time, is in the beginning stages, you have to have your eyes and your body posture, meaning your shoulders and hips, squared to the dogs and facing them. Then as they get better at this exercise, you can start to either have only your body facing them or your face. So that way they know that you're still attending to them. Perfect, you guys are doing great. And then over time you can start to walk more towards the kitchen and transition away from needing to be so square towards them. Good job. Now, I do want to give you one tip that I'm just going to anticipate, is that when you give one of the dogs permission to go and eat, both are probably going to come rushing forward. So you do, perfect, hiss, move forward, move them back, perfect. Now take a step backwards. And remember when he does the jumping behavior, not to make eye contact. Perfect. And in the beginning stages, especially when you're working with multiple dogs, it is very helpful to be able to work as a team. As you practice this more and more and the dogs understand the concept of the invisible boundary, you won't have to be doing this. You won't necessarily need 2 people to do this, or it'll go a lot faster with 1 person. Excellent.
Should there be like a time between steps, like 5 seconds, 10 seconds?
We usually say like about a quarter of a minute, so sometimes you want to go up to about 15, 20 seconds, but depending on their behavior. So watch their behavior. If they're laying down and they're this relaxed, you can probably move a little faster than that, like you're doing. But if they start getting worked up and you see their energy level increasing, then you're going to want to have a longer delay. So let their behavior be a good indicator of how fast you move. Now I'd have one of you choose to put the food down while the other one of you is more prepared to help them stay behind that invisible boundary.
That'll be the boundary.
Okay, I'm just gonna step back so we can see kind of like...
Say her name yet?
I would put the food down in her bowl area beforehand. So good, the bowl's down. Hiss.
Addie, come here, Addie.
Not yet.
So next time, wait for her to be behind the boundary to stay behind it before calling her.
Pick up.
Yep, go ahead and pick it up, and then let's move her back, and we'll do that again.
Come on, Addie.
You were very close. Okay. Take steps back. Good. Excellent. Notice that she's even farther back than she was before, so if anything, she's being more respectful of the invisible boundary. All right, when you're ready, put her bowl down, and then you can call her over.
Addie, come here.
Perfect.
Take her back too, or is she okay?
Nope, she's okay because you called her. And then make sure she knows that she can eat.
Eat your lunch.
One other thing is when dogs are eating, so starting at this point, I would take away the hiss at him if he were to try to move forward, because she could reinterpret that as she's not supposed to be eating. So just use, the walking towards him and things like that. But go ahead and still take steps away from him as long as he can respect that boundary.
Poor Jasper, I wait forever. She's so slow.
That's okay. It will help him learn to be respectful of her while she eats, because he's much younger and new. So just to show where he is, he's doing a good job at staying behind the boundary, and she's doing a good job. She's over here eating out of her bowl. And just to remind you, so when you watch this later, one of the reasons why we have the boundary so far back is because dogs should be about 7 feet or more away from each other while they're eating. So when she is done eating, what we're going to do is then have her move back behind the invisible boundary again, and then we're going to give him permission to eat, so he also gets the respect of having that distance. The other bonus of doing this is that it does usually help dogs eat in a timely manner, and it helps keep them on a good schedule.
I guess for the next few days, I'll just wait till you get up, we feed them breakfast, and you wait till I get home before we feed them the second time. You wanna do that, or you think you can do it by yourself?
Yeah, I think we'll do what you just said.
That's a good idea. So just to remind you, so I'll just reiterate in case it wasn't caught on the camera, the Guardians decided to change up their routine a little bit from what they've been typically doing, so they can accommodate working with each other on this to help the dogs learn this exercise much better and faster. So they're going to work as a team, which I think is a great idea. And again, just because I haven't said this yet on camera for you, so when you're listening to this later, remember that this is part of the training process for the next couple of weeks, and then over time this should only get easier because the dogs will learn how to stay behind this boundary. I also want to say that Jasper's doing a fantastic job. He's doing a great job. Not every dog is capable of staying behind the boundary this respectfully the first time through. So he's doing a wonderful job at going through this exercise.
Alright, so she's completed, so.
Okay, so now you want to move her behind the boundary?
Here, Ed. Ed, come. Over here.
Good.
Over here.
Go ahead and give her a toy if you want. Okay. Now I'm going to take steps over here and go ahead and start to feed Jasper, or make your way to start to feed him.
Are we both backing up again?
You should, if she'll respect the boundary. Perfect. Don't look at him. There you go. Don't look. There you go. Perfect. If you need to look at him to keep an eye on him, I usually try to look at the dog's tail area. That way you can see where he is body position wise, but you're not making direct eye contact, which can facilitate that jumping up behavior. Again, because he's so young, my best guess is that what it looks like he's doing is very puppy-like behavior, and this is normal. Dogs tend to jump up on their mothers like that when they're young to get attention and to play with litter mates. So it looks like he's probably jumping because he's just trying to get attention, but he'll learn over time that that's not the best way to get attention.
So when we're backing up like this, should we be looking at them or no?
For now, yes. Over time, you can start to transition. Perfect. Okay, now take a step back. Good.
So I'm gonna get his food, so if he starts coming towards us, you're gonna have to be the one to go and stop him.
And remember that once his name is called, that he can come forward. If your other dog, I don't want to say her name to confuse her, starts to come forward, she's the one that you would disagree with to move her back, but only her.
Jasper, come.
Go ahead and call to him again. Ooh, get in front of her and to disagree with her. There you go. And you already called him, so you don't have to move him back.
Okay.
Just move her back. Just hiss if you need to say something. There you go. Perfect. Now, I'd have one guardian watch her while you kind of show him that he
Jasper.
can go and eat.
Come. Finish food.
Perfect. All right, well, this will conclude this video, and this is how we use the structured feeding to help dogs eat their food in a timely manner and also learn how to respect invisible boundaries.